Hello, everybody, or us.
Hey.
um, Welcome to today's stream on. Oh, that we haven't even discussed this yet. We're gonna do it live on air. What should we call this series?
Oh man, great question.
The hardest problem first, naming.
I feel like the overall concept of this is deciding on the framework, but ideally the bones of it is Node.js with DSE.
Node.js with DSE. Yeah, I guess that would be.
Aren't you doing another Node project on another Twitch?
Hmm. There isn't an active one yet.
Okay.
I think the only thing I've done on another series right now has been to install Node, which
Okay.
which could be its own series. How to install Node in your preferred way.
I feel like that'd be gold.
Oh yeah. Well, like I went through, so I got npm and yarn installed, and I got Node. Well, how did I do that? Yeah, so I started with uh, nvm. That's what I started with the version manager.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I got 8 or 10, 15, 3, whatever the latest LTS version is.
Hmm.
And then I got npm figured out. I did npm update npm. Then I did install yarn via a curl command. So whatever that script did. So then I had
Hmm.
npm and yarn installed. And then I toyed around with getting Vue.js figured out.
Okay.
It was a process. It took like 45 minutes to really get it all figured out. There was a little bit of errors, so I had to kind of backtrack and figure out what was going on. And I had some like weird pseudo issues going on and stuff. So it probably much easier for a lot of people to get installed because they won't run into the same error because it was a how do I put it? The problem was between the keyboard and the computer.
Hmm.
I kind of opened things and locked stuff that shouldn't have been locked. So, but we got it working, and then I did some Vue stuff,
Nice.
which actually brings up our other topic. So let me actually write down. Let's take some notes while we're doing this. I'm going to write down the name
Yeah, I feel like,
or
um,
ideas of it.
yeah, I feel like the best part is really just spelling it out in the title, like, hey, this is exactly what we're building. So if we're going to go with Vue or if we're going to go with React, then we can say, um, oh, I don't know. I think it might be a little too early because
Yeah,
we're also deciding on what exactly the app is, right? I know we said, um, I know we threw out food trucks, but we also threw out some other ideas.
yeah, that's right. It's food trucks, and then I know we wrote it. I wrote it down somewhere. I think
Mhm.
it's on my other VM though, so we can blame me for losing that document. Um, so maybe it's in the original to-do list. Oh yes, here it is. Actually, ta-da! I didn't lose it.
Nice. Great.
Um, oh yeah, we were thinking about reinventing a Twitter clone and then a food
Oh,
truck
that's right.
finder, which would be
Hmm.
perfect for our respective cities that we live in. Seattle and Charlotte both do food trucks that that are trucks, so they actually move around.
Yeah.
Then there was bougie coffee shops,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and then we're talking about finding the least famous brewery. um,
Honestly, I think that one's hilarious.
yeah,
Um,
same.
and it's fun.
Yeah, so and since we're talking about finding location, and then I
Like we could
really
even be as vague as like, hey, create a Geo app using uh, React
hmm
DSE, for example, React DSE and
oh, there you go.
Node.js.
Or let's see here, Node.js. Geo App with DSE. Okay, that
Perfect.
could work. Also, welcome aboard. I'm Ironclad. Thanks for the follow. Let's see here. I like, I like just calling it out. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can we get food? Okay. And then, yeah, put some other questions in here, like where can we get data for the food trucks, bougie coffee shops, etc. Um, and we also needed to do some research to determine our user interface choice, which is what we're going to talk about. And let's see our deliverables for next session. Oops, I did not set up our GitHub. Darn it. So that's definitely still on the list for next session. And
Yeah.
then maybe we'll get to researching some data this time. Maybe not. Not sure. Oh, and we needed the other hard thing. So we needed a name for like this series, but also we need a name for the app. So we'll have to
Yeah.
figure that out still. We don't have to do it right now, but
Hmm.
put it in our brain back burner.
Gotcha.
Percent development environments, chat mod, da, 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 da. Oh, and then just some other stuff. And I did get some of the bureaucratic stuff done. I got the alerts and on-screen stuff for our chat and whatever added to the thing. So like if you see it in our monitors and the audience's screens, they should see chat, which I'm Ironclad just asked. So what are we building? We're working on building an app that'll find things geographically. And we have a few key things that we want to find. One is food trucks, one's bougie coffee shops, and another one is the least famous brewery in an area. So that's our lofty goals at this point. And right now we're literally at the very, very starting stages of everything. We're just discussing what it is we want to build and everything we get figured out. Let's see. So can we say it's sticking to the food industry? That seems to be the interesting thing so far for us. We did also put on the last item was find music. That was definitely one that triggered, like, how do we find that? Like, where is a good place to go find data about live music? That's not a super easy thing from my experience.
Yeah. I think maybe just start with the food industry and then go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think,
Or even, doing that as a separate project later down the road.
yeah, definitely stuff we can add, right?
Yeah.
So let's see here.
So I would say yes, sticking to the food industry for now.
Yeah, I concur. So let's see here. So as far as decisions decided, so we'll stick to food industry to start. So that'll be like our MVP aim. Our title is going to be working on Node.js Geo App with DSE for the foreseeable future. So that's what this series is going to be called.
Hmm.
Let's see here. Name this thing. This is going to be today's to-do or today's notes. Whatever today is. All right. So the next big question is React and Vue.js. Those were the two we were going to go tackle over the last couple of weeks since our first session. So
Yep.
the question is what did they do for us? What did you discover about React? Anything in particular? Any strong selling points that you found?
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think that there are a lot of positives and negatives to React. Having not used it before, I will say that in terms of, for example, corporate backing, right? React is backed by Facebook. So there's a big bonus there because it is heavily supported. Given React or Facebook's heavy involvement it's gained a lot of trust and popularity.
Mm-hmm.
So Vue, on the other hand, does not have any corporate backing. However, it has gained pretty big popularity within the open source community, so that is a bonus.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of like corporate backing, I would probably say React is a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, to talk about the code style, and one thing that I found as a negative to React, um, React uses JSX, which is JavaScript expressions. Um, this is essentially a way of writing HTML within JavaScript code. So this is essentially saying, hey, all of your code is going to be written in JavaScript. Some people may love that. Other people, for example, may really enjoy and understand writing the HTML portion of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there are slight differences. For example, like in HTML, you have your class as a CSS identifier. Um, and in JSX, that's called class name. There's also a few different syntaxes that is different when writing it. It's not a huge learning curve, but definitely a negative in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm a. I'll just say I'm with you on that one.
yeah, yeah.
Also,
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, 13 length null. One, thanks for the follow. Two, points out I'm not sure why they wrote GraphQL, but they said something about GraphQL, and then mentioned that React is kind of like Mustache, which,
Yeah,
yeah, I can see
I
that.
would. I could see that.
I don't.
Also, I think in terms of like Vue kind of to me combines the best parts of React. Um, it's also a younger framework, so I feel like they took, the good parts of React and was able to address some of those problems.
Hmm.
I think like if, for example, you're just a JavaScript developer, you haven't really worked with either framework like we have, um, I think Vue is a little bit easier in terms of a learning curve.
Yeah, I'm. I agree with that sentiment too. Um, yeah, I think that I don't know. Overall, the first thing you mentioned, I think, is one of React's biggest advantages is the fact that there's so much documentation. It's corporate backed, so there's a lot of money behind it already,
Mhm.
and just so much peripheral content already about React. In my experimentation though and research of Vue, I haven't um, I haven't really ran into any scenarios where it seems like there's a lack of documentation for Vue.js though.
Yeah,
And even though there's not a corporate back thing, like it didn't derive from a corporate entity. Um, just like say for instance, Linux didn't derive from a corporate entity. It derived from Linus Torvalds college project or whatever. But now there's so many big corporate backers that just fund people to work on it. And I feel like
right.
Vue.js is very similar in that regard because one of the things I looked around and found is there's a lot of people at Microsoft, some of the DevRel community there, and some of the people internally continuously are contributing to Vue.js and working on everything from styling and event mechanisms of the framework to making sure that it's integrated into their IDEs and all that kind of jazz. So
Mhm.
that's super cool to see that. Um, let's see. I should take a note in addition to just saying all this stuff. But
I do see that. Is it blank underscore null or is it 13? I'm trying to combine that, but please explain the name.
oh,
um, I
good
see
call.
that they said uh, Vue.js is too new, which is interesting, and uh, they're saying that yeah, yeah, blank null, I believe too. Um, Okay, cool.
Uh,
Welcome to Twitch, haha.
nice.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I thought the documentation for Vue was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I didn't run into any issues where I was scratching my head going, I can't find info about this particular thing. Um,
Yeah.
there were a few things where it was, I blame myself because I got super nerd curious about like what are the mechanisms for the two-way binding? Like I wanted to know, did someone write a C library to make it work? Did someone write
Mm.
XML parsers? Like what are the internal mechanisms for it? So I actually went and looked in the code a little bit and didn't find the exact parts I wanted, but saw a lot of things that made me pretty confident of the framework anyway. Uh, those things are a little hard to find, but they're also hard to find in React. And I did when I tried to figure out how certain things are being parsed in the like internal workings of React, I ended up with far more head scratching than I did understanding of like why. I didn't really understand why some of it was being done the way it was being done. Like it didn't seem to make sense to me. And then I tried to find a
Mm.
historical context, uh, and that didn't seem readily available either. Whereas Vue.js, a lot of that seems to take a very a more simplistic approach of like, and you mentioned this earlier. There's HTML, there's CSS, and there's JavaScript, and they're the same things that they've always been since inception, pretty much. And
Right.
here's how we roll them together in this framework. Whereas React makes a fair bit of it sort of magical, and I don't know. I feel like I'm losing context of what it does. It's like I'm passing it. I give it HTML via JSX or something like that, but it's inside the JavaScript. So
Mm.
what's occurring? What's occurring now? Like post facto, me calling a function or passing this in, and am I really passing it in, or is it holding it statically, and then some other processor like watches something and then flips through this stuff? Like I don't have visibility into that unless I go and get directly involved with the code. And similarly to sausage, I don't want to go see it made. I just want to see, I want the end product. Not that I eat a lot of sausage or anything. I'm just saying, that analogy comes up. It comes into mind. And I'm like, I don't need to know how it's made. I just know that the end product is this thing, and I can mix it with spaghetti and have great Italian sausage in my spaghetti or something like that. So that was
That's a
one of the
great
things that came
analogy.
up.
Yeah, so Blank Null also says Vue is great to get up and running quickly on small projects, but React can be scaled upwards with many tools to help.
True.
I do agree with that. I definitely agree. Um, in our scenario, uh, how large do we see this becoming?
Um, People should use it as the preeminent tool to find food trucks. So,
Or bougie coffee?
right, or bougie coffee shops, which is a pretty readily available desire and intent for people these days. Uh, so I don't know as far as contributors and as far as immediate vision of the future, it's me and you building this, and whoever jumps into
Yeah,
our channel and helps us out. So I don't see a huge number of people. So I
yeah,
don't imagine that the largeness of the project would be an issue, so much so to concern ourselves with like the capabilities that React would give us around the project. Um, that's awesome, Blank Null. It's as soon as we get a repo running, we'll make sure you get added to the repo. Uh, Feel free to whisper us, and we'll if you got a GitHub handle, and we'll get you added in there. Um,
Ironclad is
cool.
laying it down thick. Who hasn't thought of building a food truck finder?
I I'll admit
True,
it's one of those things that does pop in your head a lot, right?
right?
Oh.
But what about bougie coffee? Has anyone thought of that? I don't know.
Well, I built a coffee ranker once as a fun
Oh, that's
project
cool.
at a hackathon. Yeah. I just realized I still own the domain name for it too, which is funny. Uh,
Nice,
um,
nice.
but I also own another domain name about side projects that I'm not going to say out loud right now, but um, it's the sentiment of another side project. Oh dear me, oh my. And that one reminds me every time I look at my domain names that yes, I've tried to build Coffee Ranker and other side projects, and I always have so many side projects. Maki tacos? Oh yes, yeah, me too. I would love some of those. Now I'm thinking about lunchtime.
Jackal just joined us. How's it going? They also said you need buy-in from food truck folks, which is tricky.
Is it though?
So getting back to our first episode, we had mentioned scraping Twitter, and that's kind of where the whole Twitter thing comes from. So with a lot of the food trucks here in Charlotte, um, they will go reach out and tweet where they are, right? So that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of our idea was, hey, let's just scrape Twitter and find out where they are. I don't think it's a perfect solution, but
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think how they do it in Seattle because let's see here. I know there's a way, and I think they have some way where they schedule where they're going to be with the city or some central
mm,
way so that like if a place can hold 3 food trucks, like 10 food trucks don't need to show up there. That's just going to be a conflict, and then somebody's not going to be able to set up, and then they got to go figure out where to go. So they try to, I think they schedule like a day ahead, or they pick certain days of the week to be places. And in that context, I don't know if they're tweeting it, but they're definitely putting it somewhere. So this is, yeah, we need to figure out how food trucks show up.
mhm.
See, Portland has it easy. They have entire dedicated blocks where the food trucks are just set up, and they basically have permanent addresses.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. They also have, what is it now? I think 300 food trucks. It's completely nuts. It's wonderful. But they're more like food trailers. That's what they have. Food trailers, and they're just kind of set up. But it seems like a food truck
So
owners
these
haven't figured out
these
how to manage
comments
that.
are blowing up right now.
Yeah, lots of ideas, lots of good thoughts here. Which seems like this
Yeah.
is yeah. So we're gonna have to do research on that and get it really figured out. Um, we're probably gonna need some type of dynamic way to really get into some of those. But right now, whoever contributes, I would suggest figuring out how their respective city determines where their respective food trucks are, and then we'll try to add that into our logic or our collector of locations and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably
But
need like a little service for that so people can contribute it in some way, or it can
yeah.
automatically do it if we figure out how to automate it. So
So I want to sort of steer us back on the React first view, right? Because we're still trying to figure out, hey, which one are we going to use for this?
yeah,
Um, in terms of taking this mobile, if we needed,
mobile. Yeah, is there a way to? I guess we could
I
kind of go
know,
mobile first too, right?
right, right. I know there's React Native,
Mm-hmm.
yep, and like Noel just said the same, which has evolved from React and is a great mobile solution. Um, I feel like, it's got pretty good pickup with some Fortune 500 companies using React Native for their mobile space.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
Vue, however, I don't think Vue has anything in the open source space right now that is equivalent to React Native.
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't even, in all my searching, didn't even think to look for that. Such a noob mistake. That's ridiculous.
It's okay. I'm a Twitch noob, so this is
Yeah,
all new to me.
it works out. Let's hear. I'm gonna actually just on the spot here. Vue.js, mobile native. Build truly native mobile apps with Vue native script. So it seems like there's maybe some weaks or native script. Oh, so native script in Vue.js, a lightweight framework for building engaging user interfaces, da 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 da, immersive mobile experiences. So it seems like there's options. I don't know how. Yeah, don't know how developed it is. It looks pretty straightforward.
Hmm.
Like you add the renderer for mobile to your app. So when it's instantiated in code, and then I guess you just follow the template approach that it has. Vuetify.
Someone said, Blank Null said, search up React Native Web.
React Native Web. React Native Web.
Yeah.
Oh, I just found Vue Native too. I think that's what the other one was talking about. That looks good. The website looks good on doing mobile
Ooh, that
apps.
might be a game changer.
Provide list without JSX. Support for animation, debug, tracing, declarative rendering, all the Vue stuff. Oh, weird. It compiles to React Native. So it has the completeness of the React
Oh, that's
Native
funny.
ecosystem. So I guess you write.
That's funny.
That is funny. Like you write Vue and you get React, and then you get
Yeah.
double compiled down to like native code.
Wow.
Oh, that's so many turtles deep.
Inception.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's gonna have to look at that some more too.
Yeah.
Let's see here. You know, so React Native for web.
Jackal says it compiles to jQuery.
What? That's a joke, right?
I don't know.
It compiles to jQuery. Does it compile to jQuery?
Or are we talking about the same thing?
I don't know.
Ironclad said, look into.
Oh,
Oh.
it is a joke. Okay. I was gonna say why.
Oh, internet.
Oh,
Got
reverse
him.
historical inception. Let's see here. So React Native for web. React Native for web makes it possible to run React Native components and APIs in the web using React DOM. Here's some examples. Button, flat list. Well, it definitely looks pretty good, the React Native stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah, I'd say it looks like either way, we definitely have mobile options. And I would definitely like to weigh doing kind of focusing on the mobile notion first.
Mhm.
So whatever we got to do to get all that set up. Kitchen sink app. That's, always need a kitchen sink app. Put everything in the kitchen sink. Yeah, okay, so that's cool. So back on our list here. Oh, whoops. I need to close Slack. There we go. Surprised we made it this long in stream without Slack popping up stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so mobile native, what's the options? Looks like we have Vue.js native to React compiler thing.
Good.
Let's see. As far as oh, one of the other things I just realized I didn't even look at. And I guess really we will need to figure out like how we want to tier the architecture. So we do a mobile first app, or even if we do like a single page app or a render on server app, we'll need our Vue.js or a React code doing the user interface. And then we'll need like our middleware or whatever that may be, which could be literally any stack language or whatever. And that's actually going to talk to our database.
Hmm.
But it does make me curious. Like, I don't know. I did look a little bit at some paging options, like some of the user components in Vue.js for paging, and those looked pretty solid. The way they like take cache the data on the client side and manage it to move back and forth so that it's like lazy loading 3 pages ahead while you're looking at the current page, so you can kind of move back and forth pretty quickly. That looked
Yeah.
pretty nice. And I didn't look for the React ones, but I assume that they're there for that too. I'm not sure, however, what the client side middleware or middle client side code would look like for managing that type of stuff. Once you get data sitting out on the client, like what's the management in React for dealing with data, pushing it back and forth? I'm kind of
Hmm.
curious about that.
I
Vue
I
definitely
feel
seems
like,
simple though.
yeah, so I personally am leaning more towards Vue, just because, similar to what Jackal said, like, does the world need another React app? Like, I see so many out there. Um, but also at the same time, like, I've never worked with Vue. I've always wanted to, especially for someone that hasn't really worked with React or Vue.
Hmm.
Um, my experience has mainly been with Angular, which I think is funny in the comments. People are, I don't want to do Angular. Based on that though, I think that, this is something that we're trying to do that's pretty simple with a quick turnaround time. Um,
Famous last words.
which, yeah, really, which is why I am trying to lean more towards Vue.
Okay.
Um, However, I think the deciding factor should be the mobile aspect of it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
If we can find a good mobile platform or some sort of framework out there that interacts well with Vue, I think we should do that.
I concur. I think so. On that note, um, let's see this Vue native. So the site looks good. The way they're selling it or showing it, I should say, looks good. I'm curious how it behaves, and it says it goes to this compiles to React Native and completeness of React Native ecosystem.
Hmm.
With that notion, oh, and that thing I read earlier, I guess it's the roadmap, and they've checkmarked the things they've already gotten theoretically. So it looks like
Okay.
it's along quite a ways. Um, and then just like this theme app they got over here, I don't know. It looks like it's pretty far along. And my first thought, my first reaction of what to do next would be to actually dive into this one
Hmm.
and build one of the prototype things, because I'm sure they have like they got getting started here, so let's click on that. Yeah, to just basically go through the introduction and getting started here, and try it out, see if it seems to even work for us. Yeah, because just looking at this, it looks pretty cool. Like they
Yeah.
have.
I also like what Ironclad said. He brought up Gridsome for Vue, because PWA, being able to have a PWA, a progressive web app
Oh yes,
generator, would be pretty cool.
grid sum. I haven't heard of that one. Uh, I've seen a few people doing the Gatsby one.
Mhm.
Oh, it's a P. I didn't realize Gatsby is a generator though. I knew it was like a PWA
Gatsby,
thing.
yeah, Gatsby is for React. So if we
Yeah,
wanted to go React,
mostly for projects I knew. Okay. What's here? I'm gonna pull up Gridsome here. We'll take a peek at it real quick.
mhm.
Build insanely fast websites and apps with Vue.js, which I'm assuming that apps means thing on mobile device.
Hopefully.
Cross my fingers. Oh, Gridsome work. So, oh, cool. So GraphQL data layer, not later, whatever I just said. um, then Vue.js Webpack pack and hot reloading. All your data in one place. Well, sort of all your data in one place. I guess you could phrase it that way. A future-ready stack. What in the world is Jamstack? No servers and no databases, only files. That's silly. That's silly talk. I know, it sounds pretty cool though. So,
I think I don't think this is more the mobile space though. Again, back to what Ironclad was saying, that it's more static sites. I don't think
oh,
we're gonna,
yeah, okay, that makes sense.
yeah, I think maybe we should stick to what you had up,
Yeah.
view native and see how that goes. I mean, again, this is all trial and error, right?
Yep. So actually, let's do this. Let's let's make some executive decisions. I think I'm hearing and I feel in my soul that we should go with Vue.js.
That's how I'm leaning.
And we should get started with a Vue native introduction. And we have all the other zillions of. What did I just delete? I deleted some. Okay, there, fixed it. We have a million other things to research, but it seems like what we should tackle next is to get prepped for next session. We'll tackle and go through a Vue native introduction. We will determine if that's really good for our direction. I'll cross my fingers right now. It looks like it would be. So we'll prove that out a little bit to make sure that we can kind of get a developer flow going, and we'll work through that in the next session. So I'll go ahead and make a note
Awesome.
for that, and then we can kind of cover some of it between now and then. In the next session, we'll tackle that, diving straight into the code and such. And yeah, we'll just React can be on. It can disappear for right now. I want to leave my note there though. And then let's see here. Yeah, I guess if we have time, okay, we'll do that. But also, let's try to figure out food truck details, right? Non-static sites is possibly. Ironclad wrote a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to catch up with the messages. Oh, Next.js and Nux.js. The heck is Nux.js? Well, we'll look at Next.js Next.js session. But let's try to figure out where food truck data is and what's available in various cities. Like right now, I know we'll tackle Seattle and Charlotte for sure, because I mean,
Yeah.
we got to eat and stuff. And then what's another city we should pick? Anybody got any thoughts? Blank null, Ironclad, preferences? Atlanta. New York. Does New York have food trucks? Or are they food carts? Or are they food wagons? Keep it regional. Atlanta. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, let's hear. So, of course, New York City. I mean, that can't be ruled out for sure. Or as Brooklyn would say, there's Brooklyn. And then Atlanta is definitely an option. A little bit of a thing. Yeah. Any others, possibly? Because I figure it'll be relatively easy for us to tackle Seattle and Charlotte since we're literally on the ground. Oh, LA is actually, yeah, we should definitely
Yeah, that's a
add
good one.
Los Angeles. Oh god, did I just spell that wrong? It's Angelos, right? Angelos, not les.
Correct.
Okay, I'm having one of those moments where it just looks wrong to me either way.
Yeah.
um, cool. I think it's pretty good. We're just gonna leave San Francisco out for right now.
No, wait, it is with an E.
Is it with an E? Oh. Yeah, so it's just Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh. Um, I've spelled it so many times. I know I've spelled it correctly most of the time, but every once in a while, I swear words just look wrong.
Story of my life.
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw Portland in there too because I know that one might actually be easy, and I might even have info on one that exists, an app that is, not a food cart. So those are other options we'll tackle. But first, so for next session, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and make the decisions. We're going to go forward with Vue.js, spend effort on it. We'll dig into Vue Native and actually dive into Vue Native itself. Yeah, I am hungry. I've only had coffee today so far, so almost to the shaky moment of the day where I need some food for sure. And we're talking about food trucks, so that's helping. Yeah, so we'll do that. Vue Native will basically be our core topic next session, and we're going to aim to get some food truck data, or at least figure out where we can get food truck data. See how
Yes.
easy or how much trouble it's going to be. So that sounds like a deal. And since it's 11:02 way yonder out here in Seattle, and what is that? Two in
2
Charlotte?
p.m.
Yeah,
Yep.
2 p.m. in Charlotte. It's time for evening coffee or evening tea, right? In Queen
Yeah.
City.
Yeah, so if you all want to join us next time, we're doing this every Thursday, correct?
That is correct. Every Thursday, pretty much the same time, give or take a minute or three.
Mhm.
And every once in a
If you're on
while,
the East Coast, sorry, if you're on the East Coast, we are doing this at 1 p.m.
yeah, so 1, 2, wait, or is it 3 p.m.?
It's 1 p.m. on the East Coast
How's it one?
is
Wait,
when we
it's 2
start.
p.m. Wait, where are you at? You're in Charlotte, too.
Yeah,
Isn't that East Coast time?
yeah,
Oh, wait, it's 2 now. Never mind. Sorry, I'm just getting confused. Yes, 1 p.m. on the East Coast, 10 a.m. on the West Coast. Right about
exactly.
right about after the East Coast has worked a full day and the West Coast is having its morning coffee. Um, oh, that's a bummer. Or blank null. I'm gonna stop saying 13 now. Uh, but
Not just me.
we are rolling these via VOD on Twitch, and then we will be putting these on YouTube for posterity. So you can always check us out there, and then we'll have an episode every now and again, and other episodes on all sorts of stuff here on the DataStax Academy channel. So stay tuned for all sorts of things, and they'll be all posted in the events. So if you go in there and check out the schedule, you'll see this show along with a number of other ones that will be on weekly, except for when we're on vacation, because then we're going on vacation, and you'll have YouTube to watch then. So it'll be awesome still. But with that said, any last words for the moment?
No, I'm excited. I'm glad we decided on Vue. I think that we can now solidify the naming convention that we want to go with. Um, and yeah, just go from there.
Oh yeah, I'll add that as a little note. Naming stuff. I'm just gonna call it that because it's always hard, and we're always trying to name stuff. So
Yeah.
cool. With that, I am going to sign out for the DataStax Academy channel, and everybody have fun. See you next time.
Bye.